Good weekend, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your SPDR ETF Weekend Edition for this Friday, the 10th of May, 2024. You know, normally I'll show you, hey, this is what we're going to get on Monday with news and so on. Doesn't matter what you get Monday. It's all about Tuesday and Wednesday. You get PPI, US PPI, and you're going to get US CPI numbers. They're going to give you an idea right off the bat. Is the Fed stay higher for longer, or is this another, if you will, chip away where inflation is coming down? Now, it was interesting today. Also, if you saw the interview on CNBC with Steve Leisman, it was a short one, but it was good. It was Chicago Fed President Goolsbee and Minneapolis Fed President Kashkari. And they were very similar, but they're both very concerned about shelter costs. And you know that shelter makes up a chunk of CPI. I didn't like it. I mentioned it during the week that New York, which is not a microcosm of the United States, it's by itself for the costs for the energy and so on in that city, which is phenomenal. But rents are going up. Then I'm looking to see what is going on elsewhere at this point. You know, we know the commercial real estate has had a problem, but, you know, once you get away from that, what happens in the shopping malls, what's happening in home rents all through America? And, you know, if you're getting 80,000 immigrants a month that are approved, and I'm just making this up, but I think it's close to what's being estimated, they need shelter. How do you drop shelter costs a lot? I mean, that's a lot of people in need of shelters. Now, I don't know what they can afford or not afford. I don't pretend that I do. But I know that there's a shortage. And, you know, I'm not looking at this to change around dramatically. And I think that they hit it, both Goolsbee and Kashkari, that they're very concerned about that. And they think that's a lasting problem. And they agree. The last mile is difficult, but every single Fed member that comes out is committed for whatever reason to the 2% inflation. I think it's a fallacy. I think they're wrong. I think it sounds great as a goal, but they even said, what's the new, and Kashkari said, he doesn't know that he has right yet how high the neutral interest rate has to go when you take into that. Well, it's another way of saying maybe the 2% number isn't going to be achieved. You were up again in the video. TLT down a little bit today. Stock indices once again took off. Now, are you going to make a double top as you go up for them or not? That is going to be the biggest question that traders are going to ask during the week. Are we on a tear to the upside? Rivian down again. AMC, you know, every time the company can do better, they issue more stock, they dilute the shareholder. I'm going to have to stop following it. I told you I would. I'll probably replace it with ARM. You know, it's a better company, and I think we should just forget that one. These vendors that keep liquidating you down, why would you want to invest in them? I guess it's a good short sale. In MGM, we haven't done this one. I was looking back and saying, what haven't I done today? And I realized it's in a down move, but I thought eBay was in a down move when we did that. And I told you I thought it would go to the Bollinger Band, and it did. And now you got to bounce. I thought the same could happen in Home Depot, and you got your bounce away from it. So now, is this market setting up a value play potentially on the downside? So I said, well, let's look. So the first thing I look at is just playing a bar chart of it, and that's what it's been doing. The trend is clearly down. The swing line, which are these brown lines, in my charting course I teach this. There's 5 rules to set them up. You're always looking at the bar to the left. Why do I call it a bar, even though it's a weekly chart here, okay? And the reason that I call it a bar is, what if you want to do this on a 5-minute chart, a 15-minute chart? You can do it on any variable that you almost decide to do it on. And so for that reason, there's 5 rules in my charting course. You're taught the rules. I created the indicator. We have this on TradingView. You have to go to our website to set that up at iraepstein.com and go to the client resources in the top right, and you can set up your TradingView from there. And we have it in our Linn trading platform as well as our QT platform. So you've got quite a bit of parts that can go with it for you. But for me, this is such an important rule. Until this high is taken out of 43.50, the trend remains lower highs, lower lows, the definition of a downtrend. The market is underneath the 18-week moving average of closes. So in terms of moving averages, I can see that the 100-week is below that, as well as the 200. Well, in order to get to that setup, somewhere along the line, you had to shoot up here, and that's what happened. Everything crisscrossed here, and you went into something of a bull play, and you finally peaked out at 52. So the question is, where's the market likely to find support? We've already seen one test gave you a bounce. That's all it did for this week in the 100. It might be the 200 needs to be hit too, but I put on the Bollinger Band and I get to see reality. The market hit the combination of the 100-day average and the Bollinger Band. Why are Bollinger Bands important? Because 95% of the time, the market will trade within the band. So if you're a short seller, when you get to that band, what's it screaming at you? Why are you hanging around? Why aren't you taking some money off the table? You might make a big home run on the other 5% of the time, but I'd rather be with the 95%, so as a minimum, do something. That's what I teach, and that's what I believe. If this gives ground, then you open up for the 3804. But what I'm actually saying is you're coming into some value areas or important areas in terms of moving averages on the chart, and you're oversold at the same time. So I think you're seeing short covering coming into the market finally. In Home Depot, I was looking for a bounce away from this, but you don't have a trend here. You have a higher high and a lower low. You're oversold. It should have problems if it gets to the 360.75. Why is this market fall? Because it's not sexy. For the pandemic, 3 years, we spent time, you, me, your neighbors, redoing our homes and doing what we had to do. Now things have gone up in price on everything. Inflation is a bite. You go to do the same project. It's substantially more money. I'm handy. I have every tool you can imagine, and I know how to use them. And when I'm not into this, that is one of my releases. I mean, I know how to build things, and I have a ball with it. I'm getting older now. I can't pick up the heavy things the way that I did, but I still know how to do them, and I love fixing things. All right, and I like building them. A lot of remodeling. I've done it here in my house. I feel like I'm watching that guy from InSync that does the farm homes. I've done a lot of that. So to make a long story short, it doesn't have that punch behind it. And it's going to be a while before that happens. So I think when you broke this, you actually said, maybe Home Depot's not something you want to get involved in. What's come alive is regional banking. And the reason is interest rates have fallen back in the 10-year to 4.5%. This stock or this ETF will get hit if you start going back to 5%. 4.75, 5 will scare it. The first resistance is the 100-week average in the Bollinger Band. You used a lot of energy to do this. I expect to see pros taking money off the table. I think you'll get a lot of major analysts that just say, all right, I see what it's doing, but do I want to own these regional banks just yet? Because a lot of them have bad commercial real estate loans out there. Doesn't mean they haven't made provisions. In China, you've now up to the area of the 100-week and the upper band. Be careful. I'm probably going to, as I said, I'm replacing certain parts of our different charts. I don't know if I want to keep this one or not. I haven't made up my mind. And the reason is it gaps all over the place. In XLI, bullish, all right? Now, you had a market that came down and lost in the break here, the embedded reading, and it never hit its target. It cannot afford to get over the most recent high, this one right here. If it gets over it, then you've negated the ability to get there. It made a run to it. That didn't hit me for close enough. I like to be within just a couple of ticks away from getting to that number. So it's an interesting time. One part of the chart is bearish, the other is bullish. It's in a fight. In the energy sector, this is what I'll call a bull market correction. And the reason is you have the bias up as long as you're over the 18-day average. You lost the bullish embedded reading. Prices should, on a weekly chart, fall back for wherever that 18-week comes in, and that's where it should try to find itself. Now, it doesn't make sense, I know, because you would think gee, if Israel's going after Hamas and the Mideast is heating up, you know the Red Sea isn't going to open. Forget ships being able to go there. That isn't going to happen with this. And what if Israel and Iran go at it? What if Syria, parts of that, the different terrorist groups that are there in Iraq as well, start firing missiles at Israel? What happens? Does the U.S. get drawn in? As much as the Biden camp doesn't want to be drawn in, they'd have no choice. And suddenly the Biden camp is saying to Israel, we think that you used our weapons in a non-humanitarian manner. They can't prove it yet. They're really turning on Israel. It's amazing to me what they're doing. We have to be the worst ally in the world. I really mean what I'm saying. Look at Afghanistan. Look at this. Look at the comments that the Bidens do. We know that they're trying to pressure Israel. We know what they're doing. On the other hand, they did veto today a vote in the UN to make Palestine a member state. That's not going to happen. But I don't think we're the best ally under this particular leadership in the White House. And that, by the way, just ask our allies. You know, we seem to be fighting with everybody all the time. Higher high, lower low coming down. Canada, tariffs. Europe, we put tariffs on their thing. I can go on and on with this, all right? We're always threatening Mexico with something. You can see where we're fighting through here to keep this market. This is the week that we'll know what the dollar is going to do. The CPI and PPI, you have to wait for the end of the month for a jobs report after that. So these are the two reports that set your tone. Be ready for them. Then we get to the gold market, and gold's an interesting son of a gun on this. If you look at the chart, and I'm going to come here, last week, you had a reading of 77. That means pros, in my opinion, came out of the market. You'd have to re-embed this week with a close over 80 to say I'm bullish again. And it's exactly what the chart did. And the chart had an outside week down and you took out the high of it. So until it takes out last week's low, the bulls grabbed control and you've opened the door for the 226 level again. It was a bear trap. That's what you call that. In the silver market, didn't work that way. You never did embed, you got overbought, you corrected, and you're still in an uptrend, but you're overbought, so I'd be careful here. You might be making a run towards that 26.66 level. When you look at Eli Lilly, I've been looking, and by the way, I use that word. You have a bull market break. Bull market, lose the embedded reading, a break, and this is what I always look for. It doesn't mean it happens. I want to see it make a real run to that 18-week average and hold it. This chart turns full-fledged bullish again if it takes out last week's highs. That's all I'd need to see. Uber. Everybody was in love with Uber, remember? Now everybody hates Uber. It's so funny. They missed their numbers this quarter, and boom. So, could they go down to 61.43? They could, but you're on borrowed time in this. Why do I say that? Because the Bollinger's there and you're oversold. So I wait. You have an outside week down. If you take out the high of this week, this coming week or the week after, this will prove to be, in my opinion, a trade bottom, and the market will try to reestablish an uptrend. But it hasn't done that yet, and I've given you the downside. Uranium, you know it's in favor. I've been covering this for a reason. I'm a big believer that small nuclear plants are going to have to be built in many areas to solve the problem of the electricity grid for the AI. You know, one of the things I brought to your attention, you get these plants that did Bitcoin mining and these other miners that do Ethereum and the others. All right. Well, Bitcoin specifically with that halving event has made it not very productive for the same person. He's going to spend twice as much to get a coin because you got a harder algorithm and there'll be a finite number where it ends. But if you think about those plants, and I couldn't believe it when I read it, they are built for this. You just pull out your stacks of computers, you slip in the blades of the other ones. The facility's built with the water cooling, the air conditioning. They're large in their scope, the big boys are, and they can start right up and get you going. And they're typically near all the utility fields of electric lines, everything you need is backups. Wow, that's very interesting. Plus, they've already got the electricity. They don't have to go file for it. They've been using, I'd still like them to use solar and other elements so that you're not driving electricity costs up in other areas. And last, Meta, whipping, but stuck at the 18-week average. You had lost the embedded reading. When you lose it, you typically make a run, and we'll just get to it so you can see what I'm saying. Whoops. Yeah, let me get this one more. My finger's slipping there. There you are. You're coming in, you lose the embedded reading, you should be coming down here, and watch, you'll get there. Boom, and now this is your bounce that you're getting. So typically that's what happens. But I teach you all this, and that's what I love to do. In the mornings, we start off at 6 a.m. If you take the combo that I've got where you get futures, stocks, options, the videos, all right? You can pick, if you don't like futures, just go with the spider stock one. It doesn't matter. But you're going to see that I start at 6 in the morning in the futures, and then at 9 o'clock, and that's a.m. Central Time, I start covering for you the other markets. So what do I mean by the others? The stocks, the spiders, the ETFs. My charts are going to look different than you see here. They're going to look this way. There's 5 studies on every chart. I believe that's all you need. You got your momentum study, the slow stochastic, the Bollinger Bands, the swing lines are here, and more moving averages than you're using. I use 2 or 3 more than you've got, and I explain why and show you them. It's very easy. And then window envelopes, because you don't always hit Bollinger Bands. There's other spots for profit objectives besides a Bollinger Band. And we use them, and I show you how to use them, how to apply it on the chart. You get all this, by the way, if you use TradingView. You just go to our website, not theirs. You go under the client resource area and you sign up for it there, and then we turn it on for you and you get all my indicators in it. We have it in our LT platform and we have it in our QT platform. So you got plenty of ways to work with this. Each morning I start off with the fundamentals and technical analysis. Now, in the member login, the videos are here. And if you hit them, the videos will play, and there's a scroll bar. By the way, this can become full page. So you hit it, plays, you got a scroll bar, and as you drag your cursor, it takes you from section to section. They're all cleanly labeled, because time is not your friend. I know that. The charts will look big in this way. Believe me, they're going to be easy to read. And I explain to you what I'm saying. We'll mix daily with weekly. It's Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I'll put out the weekly charts for you. And we look at those for the longer term trades. And, you can be in those a very long time. They all include access to my special video reports as well. And we give you the free charting software, which is for your Android and or your iPhone. So you put this on there, watch it with quotes, with charts, everything that you can imagine right there. IraEpstein.com research, it's all explained right there. Or you can hit the cursor up here. In the meantime, you have a great weekend. It looks like it's going to be a pretty one in America. And I will catch up with everybody either in the other videos if you watch them or Monday morning. Take care now.